Hello everyone, this is the Tone Deaf Monk. Thank you for joining me on my channel once again. Today I am going to talk to you about a KZ VZX. This little black beauty comes in silver as well. And I said I was going to do a bit of a shootout when I got this one in, and I just did that little video for the DQS, and I also have the Truth Ear Ola here as well, and we'll do a comparison at the end. But first, I want to talk about a little rant. I bought these just because, I think they look baller. But something had to click with KZ. The DQS, there was 3 that I have reviewed lately that I consider the worst tuned IEMs I've ever heard. Joy Audio with an O, Shine, 16 different tuning switches, none of which will give you anything decent sound-wise. The KZ DQS, nope. I'll go Joy Audio Shine. Yeah, and then I'll go DQS, and then in descending order of quality of sound, Tin Hi-Fi C5 Planar. Just wow. Yep. That, and I'm on to the rant again. KZ, like, honest to God, man, figure out your naming system. It is so confusing, and your releases and your drops. You have a following out there which I don't quite understand. I used to have. I don't know why, but like I hate on for KZ, and I bought one, a cheap one, and I forget the name of it, and I actually like the V-shaped tuning, and then I bought the KZ PR1 Pro planar, fixed it with a little vent mod again, and I love it. I think that's one of my favorite planars. When I get some more in, I think I'm going to try the Panda P1 Max. And then I got this KZ DQS, and I went, oh, that is horrific. The vocals, yeah. Then this thing came in, the ZVX, and again, nobody understands your naming system. I'll throw a little story out there from the 80s. Alpine Electronics, you've heard of them, hopefully. And we were building this demo car for them. So the president of North America flew out, and I think his name was Michael. I can't remember back then. But we went out for some beers and shooting the shit. And we asked him straight up. I said, so none of your model numbers make sense. You got a cassette deck that's 2767, and then you got a CD player that's 2782, and then you got the next model higher at a 5757, and then you got the next model higher than that, and it's a 3131. How? Why? None of it makes sense. We can't even... how do you stock this? And he basically said straight up, honestly, we throw darts at a dartboard, and wherever that dart hits on the number that we have pinned around this dartboard, that's the number. Okay, thank you for that explanation, but it's so stupid. They fixed it, obviously. Somebody got fired, probably, and then it got fixed. Same thing maybe should happen at KZ. Like, honestly, if it's a dynamic driver, here's some feedback. If you're going to watch this, please call it a D for dynamic driver. If it's 2 dynamic drivers, call it a DD. Nobody's going to be upset about double Ds. Just saying. More than a handful. Anyway, I stop there. If it's a planar, call it. Start with a P. If it's an electrostat, or if it's a hybrid. Anyway, you figure it out. Hopefully, or somebody should get fired. End of rant. Talk about sound quality. The ZVX is a great leap, in my opinion, from what I've heard from KZ so far. The bass is plentiful, tight, fast, articulate, nice bleed in a weight that adds musicality to the music, to the playback. Kicks, guitars, plucks, male vocals sound great. Graph. Sub bass, nice glide into mid bass. It doesn't have that harmonish dip into where it loses some of that. It's getting her closer, but I love the fact that it has more energy in those areas to make at least everything that I've listened to sound better. I like the way it did vocals a lot, male and female. And it had enough sparkle and details to make it a bit exciting. Stage was over the DQS, miles. It was nice and wide. It wasn't super deep, and it wasn't super high, and it wasn't 3D. It was fun. Same as micro details, macro details, dynamics, where you could take a small passage, flim in the BBs, go start off small, and then have these huge hits. I loved it. I think it did really well there, and it adds some good excitement. This is a fun IEM to listen to. Don't buy this if you want to be super... and it's $20. So if you buy this to be super picky about your sound, you're living in some other planet as well. But for what it does do, it is a great little under $20. I'm ranking this as, I hate using that, but for under $20, this thing is pretty darn good. The treble was nice. I did end up putting a little 350 level cotton tuning filter on the nozzle. I've tried a few, and I found this one the best, and it didn't kill anything except for a little bit of upper glare, harshness, sibilance. Highly recommend it. It's like 20 cents, 30 seconds to do, right? So out of the box, I found it a bit something in the high end, just a little bit not properly tuned. That fixed it for me. Quite enjoy it with this little tuning mod. So stage, okay. Not super, micro details, macro details, again, pretty good. Is it the most resolving IEM? No. Is it the best soundstage? No. Is it the most chill IEM and neutral? No. Happy for that. Nice colored, fun sound. End of sound impressions. Comparisons. DQS, giant, chonky shell, huge wing, plastic looking, oversized. This is, to me, unlistenable. I just don't like the way it does anything vocal. And nothing is going to fix it. It just doesn't have enough highs or anything. And comparison graph between these two are almost the same. This one actually has more bass in the graph and high end. This one has slightly less, like a couple 2 dB or something less. This one is bloaty, loose, sloppy in the DQS. This one is tight, fast, hits hard, and is musical. This is on for like $10 now, and I wouldn't buy it. It should be taken off, honestly. Not when you pay $10 more for this with a full metal shell, way better tuning, way better bass, way better vocals. You know, let's stop talking about the DQS. Let's talk about the Ola versus the ZVX. Two completely different tunings. One, smooth, balanced, neutral, just a great articulate sounding IEM for under $20. You should have it in your library. And build quality, again, pretty awesome. I think these are also kind of metal shells as well. Back to these two. Ola, $20, smooth neutral, balanced, fun, colored, bassier, more high end, sparkly. If you had $40 and you only had $40 and you wanted more than one IAM, these two would be where I would go right now from what I would say. And there's probably some other choices out there for you, but I like these two right now. On that note, I wanted to talk about metal shells. So I've loved my OH10 Eco, and it has this copper shell that adds some special sauce. I think Simgot EA500, my new favorite. I bought two. Keep one up here and I keep one downstairs in my listening chair because I loved it that much. And if you haven't watched my video on that, do so. I think it's an awesome one. And it can be turned into a bass monster. Not for super bass heads, but definitely more some sub bass without ruining anything of the tuning. It's pretty fantastic. It can be like a Heckle and Jekyll and Hyde. Back to metal shells. EA500, OH10, Truthier Ola, ZVX. I'm seeing a pattern here. And the pattern I'm seeing is metal shells. And I think, honestly, that it does something to, just like people who build speakers, home speakers, some people build it out of birchwood because they think it resonates in a certain way. You don't see people, well, I mean, there's other cabinet stuff, but there's believers swear by certain cabinets that give off different resonances to affect the color of the sound. And I truly believe that's what happens when you have a metal cavity. I think it adds something to the bottom end in a very, very good and special way. So love to see this and this, and I think that's what partly makes this thing killer. Even if this used the ZVX used the same driver as the DQS, maybe that's the difference, and smaller cavity and the cavities tuned differently. But that's what made it different. It's awesome. So metal shell, I'm attracted to that because I think that's what makes, and I like that maybe that's the way it colors the sound in a way that I find more musical. It's quite possible. Or it could be crazy. Just wanted to wrap up the ZVX. I can never remember this model because none of it makes sense. I'm sorry. It really doesn't. You did an awesome job, KZ. You really did. The build, the fit, the finish, the little venti, silver venti thing, your logo, you have left and right written on it. Excellent job. I'd love to see that a little bit bigger. Nice nozzle length, great shaped shell. You did everything great. You kind of stopped on the tuning on the high end, and maybe you should have just tuned it where you put a tuning filter on it in the nozzle, and it would have made it even more perfect. As it is, it's a pretty easy fix with that. I got them off of AliExpress. Again, they're like $1 for 20 filters. And it's a cotton filter, and I tried a bunch of different ones. They're balanced ones, they're white ones. This one's like a black one. It's like a kind of a cotton weave to it. And I'll post the link in the description. I don't really go off and say I recommend stuff, but I am happy I paid $20 for this. Came blazingly fast with new KZ shipping. I don't know if they changed something, but I got this one direct from the KZ store, and it was like here in a little over a week to Canada. Awesome. I'm still waiting over a month from an AudioSense AQ4 that went to the Netherlands. Good job, KZ. I love it a lot. I think it's great. I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to permanently attach it to a cable, and it's going to go through rotation when I just feel like picking up something and I want to rock out. I totally did that yesterday with some Seattle grunge, some Tea Party, and some hip, and I was having fun with it, and I really enjoyed it. Some Creed, stuff like that. Thank you again, everyone, for watching my videos, and I love you and I appreciate it. This is Tone Deaf Monk, and I'm out.